Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. In this video, I'm gonna tell you about all the books I've read in February. I haven't read much. I've only read 5.5 books, and those books were pretty mediocre, so I'd say February was definitely not my best reading month, but we have what we have, so let's run through everything I've read. All the reading I actually did on this little baby. It is my pocketbook, my e-reader that I read all my books on. This cover kind of looks old, like you can see this, but I haven't had it for that long, so I don't know why the paint is actually coming off already. Only the last book I'm gonna tell you about I read in a physical copy. All 5 others I read with this baby. Love of my life.
The first book I picked up was Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens.
I didn't know what I was in the mood for, so I decided to go for a book from my 25 books for 2025 list, because I figured if I haven't read one book in the month of January, I should start reading them in February if I want to finish that list before the end of the year. It is a historical fiction in which we follow Kia as she grows up, all the struggles that she's going with, all the prejudices that she faces within society, and how the nature is probably one of the most important things in her life. As a person who loves nature, I really loved all the descriptions about plants and animals and how the nature works in general. Not gonna lie, the first maybe like 30% of the book did move kind of slow, and I was struggling with language because obviously English is not my first language, it's not even my second language. So I did struggle with some like advanced nature adjectives. So I did have to go into translator a lot, but that still didn't lower my enjoyment further in the book. At some point, I started immersive reading, and oh my god, I feel like that elevated my enjoyment with this book so much. I found a free audiobook on YouTube. It is narrated by AI. It might be, I don't know, it is a robotic voice, but I was listening to it on 1.75 speed, so I really enjoyed it. The mystery plot of this book was kind of predictable at first, but then it took so many twists and turns, and the turn that it turned at the end, oh my gosh, it was so good. The one scene I remember the most was the scene in a court where the author so perfectly portrayed it and compared it to how nature works.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
I literally had to put the book down. Book the book. I literally had to put the book down in order to process how perfectly she described it. I was in such an awe, and I remember quoting that scene to my mom, and she was like, yeah. Anyway, I gave the book 4 stars, and honestly, I feel like it might be even 4.5 stars if it did not move that slow in the beginning. The second book I picked up was One of Us is Lying by Kieran McManus. It is also a book from my priority TBR for the year. It was supposed to be a mystery thriller, but at least to me, it more felt like a drama, and everyone was such a drama queen. The book was not focused on investigation of the murder that happened. It was more focused on what the people did and what these teenagers did and how the author portrayed teenagers. What? Like, I am a teenager. I've been to high school, and I will never believe that every second person in this small high school in small town cheated on their partner and the other half is doing drugs. No, that's not how high school and teenagers work. It just felt so exaggerated. Ain't no way I'm gonna believe that. I did not really enjoy the book. The investigation did pick up at the very end, like the very end of the book, but that was not enough for me to enjoy it, so I gave it 3 stars. The next book I'm gonna talk about, I hope I will not get killed for saying what I'm about to say. I did read Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. Why is this book so popular? I do not get hype at all, and I'm kind of disappointed with myself for not obsessing with this book as much as everyone else does, but that's my opinion. and we do not judge for our opinions here, so I'm gonna say what I thought of the book, and please accept that. It is a fun fantasy book, no doubt, but why is it like everyone's top fantasy book? It did move kind of slow, again, until the very ending, which also is not what I'm looking for, especially not in the so hyped book. Where were the high stakes all the time? I actually watched the show when it first came out, so that's how I imagined all the characters, and it was so difficult for me to remember that they were actually my age, that they were teenagers, because some stuff that they did and how other people saw them, I was like, yeah, that's fine for like 20 plus year old adults, but for a teenager, everyone's scared of teenager. That's some fantasy here. I did love the characters, but I wouldn't say I connected too much with them, which I'm also kind of disappointed with because I was expecting to fall in love with these characters and want to never forget them. But as the time passed, I haven't thought about this book twice, so. My favorite, I think, was Nina and Jasper. I loved them. I loved them. Their chapters, their point of view chapters were my favorite. I mean, Inash, I also loved Inash. I didn't really love Kaz. Why is everyone simping over him? Maybe he's just not my type. Maybe I should read the second one to connect with everyone more, and maybe with Kaz more. I mean, he was okay, but I was not absolutely obsessed with him as everyone else is. And I ended up giving this book 3 stars as well as the previous one. I decided to dive into something emotionally damaging, so I started Us Against You by Frederick Backman. I read Beartown previous month and I absolutely loved it, and it was probably one of my favorite books of that month. I'd say I liked Us Against You a little bit less than Beartown, that's why I gave it 4 stars instead of 4.5 like the Beartown. I'd say it moved slower and it was more focused on hockey and especially the political side of it. We were following so many characters and getting so many different stories that we didn't get in the first book. And oh my god, so much dramatic stuff happened. Frederick Backman, man, can you have at least one happy character? Please, please, I want at least one happy character. The story still follows what happened in the first book and how it affected the town and other people, but we still focus more on what happened after the end of the first book, so I can't really tell you much because that would spoil a lot of stuff. And I think, at least for me, the ending was kind of rushed because throughout the whole book we were focusing on every teeny tiny detail, and the ending was really fast. Maybe that's why there is a third book. I don't know. I will read it definitely sometime soon, and I'll see. I love this book and I love this series as a whole so far, but I will definitely not be rereading any anytime soon. I don't think I'm ready for that pain again. And there were so many beautiful quotes that I'm really thinking about buying a physical copy just to annotate it. Frederick Backman just has such a unique writing style. It's chef's kiss. I actually lied because this month I've read 2 physical books. This is a translated version, but in English it's called The Bookish Life of Nina Hill. But despite the cover looking cute and the synopsis at the back sounding like something I would absolutely devour, I hated the book. I gave it 1.5 stars, purely for the fact that it had books. The way characters behaved, their thoughts, their feelings, and what they did, I didn't like it. I didn't connect with it. This is a book about 30-year-olds. Why did they behave like teenagers? Like 13-year-olds, not 30-year-olds. Why did the main character think one thing and they say something completely opposite without a reason for that? And there were so many like millennial jokes that at some point it just stopped being funny. At the beginning I was like, yeah, hee hee ha ha, it's funny. But then it's like, girl, no. And when for like half a chapter they were talking about male private parts, ew. Like, ew. I don't want to read about that. And the fact that 2 main characters couldn't get together just because they wouldn't acknowledge that they like each other. Even though, like, in their heads, they're like, oh yeah, I'm attracted to her, or like, oh yeah, I'm attracted to him. Are we gonna do something about that? No? Yes, maybe? After reading the synopsis, I really thought that this book might become something like a comfort book for me, the book that I would like to go back to whenever I'm feeling sad or want something that will lighten my mood up. But no, this is something I would like to forget. Rise and Divine by Lana Harper. As you can see, I didn't read this book fully. I only read half of it, so I stopped on chapter 13. Also, look at my cute bookmark. It's not cute, it's rather ugly because I crocheted it myself, so it's not really even. And it has this little like tassel, which is not really a tassel because I don't know how to make tassels, so I kind of improvised. Of course, instead of Googling. Anyway, whatever, it does its job, so it's fine. The cover of this book is absolutely stunning. Like, look at it. It's gorgeous, right? It is actually the 5th book in a fantasy series, and I've had the first book in the series in my TBR for a while, which is Payback's a Witch. It doesn't really have a high rating on Goodreads, so I was always hesitant into going into this series. And I was actually gifted this book, so that's why I started reading it. It is a series of interconnected standalones, so you don't have to read 4 previous ones in order to read this one. If you want to connect with characters more, you can, but I don't, so I only started reading this one. I did not read the back of it because I like going into books completely blind. So all I knew about this book was that the main character's name was actually almost identical to my name. The main character's name in this one is actually Daria, which is almost identical to mine. Mine has 2 eyes and hers only has 1, but that's as close as it can get, so yeah. Even though I am halfway through, I can't really tell you what this book is about because nothing's happening. And I'm slightly getting disappointed because I cannot push myself to read it. It hurts when I push myself to read it because there are so many descriptions of unnecessary things, but where's the plot? The plot is nowhere to be seen. I really was hoping that I would love this book because I was gifted it. So in my mind, if I'm gifted a book, I'm supposed to love and absolutely be obsessed with it. Because usually that's what happens. But unfortunately not with this one apparently. And I'm sad about that. But anyway, I'm still gonna finish this book. So I'll tell you more about it in, I think, March wrap up. Now there will be no rating, of course, because I haven't finished it. But if I were to give a rating now, it would be really low, so I hope it will pick up. That's all for today, my loves. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to me. More exciting videos are coming, so if you want to, stick around, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!